Well, welcome to Tailgaters, presented by Touchdown Trips. I'm Jay Lawrence, and I feel like I'm going to have to cough in a second, honestly. I'm ever so slightly throaty, so I apologise if it's horrible to listen to. Dom.
Mr. Lawrence.
Hi. You all right?
Hello.
Mr. Lawrence. You're the Mr. Corbett out of all of this, as the teacher. Dom, 2 out of 2 for you. 2 episodes out of 2.
I'm pleased to have that attendance record. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
It is an honour to be back, a double header. Love it. And I feel even better now I've heard that introduction music. It is very catchy. I need it for my ringtone.
I made a mistake, Dom, with the launch of the podcast. This is the second episode, and I spent so long getting everything together, doing the video. I had so much. I put the video out saying I'm starting a podcast. I had so many good interactions, so many shares, all of that. And someone pointed out that I made a mistake because it's a podcast for UK and Ireland. So I did a British flag popped up, and then the software that I use, I typed in Ireland flag. The first two that came up were exactly the same, so I just picked one, Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast flag, Tom.
The best part about that is that mistake has to have happened more than once because of that exact
100%.
reason. So I wonder where else that is the case. I want to go to the Ivory Coast embassy and see if they've actually got Irish flags everywhere, or the other way around. It's one of those things where most people wouldn't notice it,
Well, it's 100% my fault. I don't want to say otherwise. It's 100% my fault. I should have just double-checked or just clocked. However, how many other people? You're right. This is a very well-known software. All I did was type in, Ireland flag or Irish flag or whatever I did.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
brutal.
do you know what? I created a sound drop for when NFL players do something stupid. But unfortunately, the first time that we're going to use it,
dumb move.
It's just so
So dumb.
It's just me. That is just me, 100%.
It's a miracle there's a second episode after your cancellation with the announcement.
Yeah, I know. Big episode today, though, because we're going to go through loads of British and Irish news. There's loads of British and Irish NFL news to go through, and some college football news as well, including some NFL players. We'll go through some non-British and Irish news, also known as just NFL news. And then we're going to do why your team can win the Super Bowl AFC Edition. Now, you've already done this on your YouTube channel, Dom. I want to just throw people over there. Where can people go to your YouTube?
Corb's NFL. Hit it up. First mock draft as well up there. So if you love your draft, head over.
Okay, so we're going to do that. And then we've got the mailbag. We've got some excellent questions. Now, remember, if you don't, follow us already on social media, get on over to that. We've got a Discord in the show notes as well where you can put your mailbag questions. There's also another link for you to put your mailbag questions because we're going to be doing this every single week. We'll start with the British and Irish news, which I thought was a rubbish name. So I thought we'd just shorten it to Bane. What do you think, Bane?
Yeah.
Bane?
Well, you merely adopted the dark.
I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but blinding.
So I thought we'll just call it Bane for the time being, and we'll start with the news that actually came out Thursday. Brand new TV situation for the NFL in the UK. Channel 5 is going to be broadcasting free-to-air NFL games, 2 Sunday evening games on 5 and 5 Action throughout the season as part of the new multi-year deal. It's going to be completely different, this, Dom. You're looking at Dermot O'Leary, Sam Quek, Osi Manura. They're going to host the coverage, but it's going to include a new play-along entertainment format aimed at family audiences. As I'm reading this from the press release, right? So it's essentially going to be like a game show within the actual game, which is going to be intriguing.
Very intriguing. I mean, it's something that we've been hearing rumors about here and there, and so I think a few of us have been trying to work out kind of how it's going to work behind the scenes for quite some time. But I'll be really intrigued to see because, anything that's free for people to watch and is going to try and get a new demographic of people to watch the game and is going to inspire kind of a new generation of fans is always a good thing. Is it something that maybe the hardcore fans might not love? Yeah, maybe, but it might not be for them ultimately. So, if you still want to watch the games without that, go ahead to Sky, go watch it wherever. And if you want to have a fun, kind of interesting angle that might engage new people, maybe your sister, maybe your younger brother, then turn on Channel 5 and we'll be following it closely.
Yeah, so they're going to be doing that game show for the first one at 6 o'clock, and then they're going to be transitioning to a studio format with Sam and Osi as well. So I think that's going to be a bit more of a traditional studio situation. No news on Sky yet, though I think that's going to be imminent. I think I'm not speaking out of tone or turn or whatever. I think I'm extremely confident that we're going to see the NFL on Sky as well. So we're going to have the option of Channel 5 and Sky as well as DAZN. So to be honest, I think that's all right.
Yeah, it's good.
Also,
good. DAZN is doing free college football this year.
Well, that was my next one. We'll go straight on to that then.
Sorry.
College football TV news. So Notre Dame home games are going to be shown on Sky Sports, according to Pro Football Ireland's Michael McQuaid. And DAZN have an agreement with ESPN to show, and this was confusing at first, but I'm pretty sure now it's up to 25 college football games per week for free, as well as college basketball. That is like the best we've had in years. In fact, it might even be the best that we've had. You know, ESPN Player was great, but you had to subscribe to that, and this looks like it's going to be free, Dom.
And that's just fantastic. Again, like with the Channel 5 thing, when things are free and there's not like a barrier to entry for fans, it just brings more fans in. And I think for fans watching college football, it only helps the NFL product. People know more about the draft prospects. People know more about how the game works. The game is slightly different in college than it is to the NFL, but you are watching the same sport. And really, because it's played by like children, really like 18 to 22-year-olds, let's say, you do get like a very different style of product. You don't have these super polished professionals playing. You have, people who are walk-ons at some small college playing someone like Notre Dame, perhaps on under the lights on Saturday Night Football. And it's just brilliant to watch. So I really thoroughly recommend people, if you haven't dipped your toes in the college world yet, do that because it's so much fun.
And you've got a college football podcast. I'm going to, keep plugging you as well. What's the name of that podcast, Dom?
Very, very generous with the plugs. Yes, I do have a college football podcast, College Days. Go check it out. But dip your toes in college football. Trust me, you'll.
And also the other thing is, if you wish the NFL was a bit more high scoring, if you're bored of 15, 13 games, go watch college football. There's a happy medium there somewhere, but college football is completely the other way.
And we give it back to you, the people.
Actually, do you know what's funny about putting all those Bane drops in as well? Is I forgot there's a scene in an NFL stadium as well in The Dark Knight Rises.
Steelers.
It's a good one. Yeah, it's Steelers. Anyway, so let's move on to the British and Irish players roundup. So this has happened over the last few days. Basically, a load of British and Irish players had the opportunity to get onto the 53-man roster of NFL teams. A bunch of them were cut, but that doesn't mean that their NFL career was over. They had the opportunity to go through waivers, which if you don't know what that means, basically other teams have the opportunity to basically say, I want that player. That's kind of how it works, and as simply as it can. And if nobody else says, I want that player, then it means that they get that player. It doesn't happen uber often. It's not as if you can just... you sort of give up your... What's the best way of putting this, Dom? You sort of give up your place in the queue. That's probably the best way of putting it. You give up your place in the queue if you apply for a waiver as an NFL team. So you kind of only apply for waivers when you really want a player, because there might be somebody further down the line that you really want, but if you've just got somebody, well, you're bottom of the queue now. That's an okay way of putting it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same way that fantasy waivers works, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
If you get your choice, then you're back at the queue for the next guy, for the next round that comes through. So it's basically the exact same way that works.
So let's go through them. Just a few. Charlie Smith was cut by the Saints. He's rejoined the Saints practice squad in that specific, and these are all, by the way, all of these I'm going to mention are on the practice squad on the specific IPP spot just for international players, so for non-US and Canadian players. Charlie Smith staying with the Saints, the Irish kicker, of course. There's a bunch of Irish kickers, I'll be honest with you. Jude McAtemney sticking with the Giants. Mark McNamee sticking with the Packers. Friends of the show, I should say, Charlie Smith and
hell friends of the show.
Maz Mwanza is sticking with the Panthers, the linebacker, and Travis Clayton, who was from Basingstoke, who was drafted by the Bills in 2024, is sticking with the Bills as well. I think he had a starring role in Hard Knocks as well. I'll be honest, I've not watched Hard Knocks. It's the first Hard Knocks I've not watched in a long time. But anyway, it sucks that they're not on the 53-man roster, but at the end of the day, this isn't the worst situation for them to be on by any means, because they continue to grow, they continue to develop, and they still get the opportunity to play in up to 3 games this year. That's all right. That's not too bad.
Better than we've got. We're not playing
exactly.
on 3 games.
All right, let's just rattle through these other ones, Don, before we go on to why your team can win the Super Bowl. Trey Hendrickson signs 1-year deal with the Bengals.
About damn time.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, isn't it? Spencer Rattler, QB1 in New Orleans.
Right decision, 100%. But then also makes the Tyler Shook draft question even bigger because they're going to draft a quarterback in next year's draft. So what they're going to do with Shook for 6 games?
Well, what I would say with that, though, is that putting Spencer Rattler as QB1 gives them the opportunity to put Tyler Shook in after 4, 5, 6 games if he's not performing. Whereas if Tyler Shook was not performing after 3 or 4 games, then they'll have a difficult decision to make, and that would make the draft pick look worse. No?
True. It's a very odd decision in New Orleans. I mean, currently they've got a quarterback room with 0 NFL wins. Spencer Rattler is currently 0-6. I know.
Compare that to New York Giants,
yeah,
who have
exactly.
Jameis and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, you know, even they have a lot of losses there. They've also got a lot of wins. And to have 0 is crazy. But that's just kind of a great metaphor for where the Saints are at as a team, really, isn't it? Like, it's very transitional. It's very, questionable who's going to be on that roster in 4 years' time, let alone beyond that. Yeah. So we'll see.
Texans general manager Nick Caserio was non-committal about whether Pro Bowl running back Joe Mixon will play in 2025. When asked about it, we'll see. We'll take it one day at a time.
As someone that's drafted Nick Chubb in a lot of fantasy leagues, I'm okay with that. I've steered away from Joe Mixon. But I mean, also, we do have Nick Chubb. We do have a rookie, Woody Marks, that we drafted. I don't think it really impacts.
Who's the other guy as well? Damian Pierce.
Damian Pierce, yeah, good shout. I just think it doesn't really impact our outlook that much if we lose an older running back, frankly.
Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice has been banned for the first 6 games after he was involved in a high-speed car crash. He can come back October the 13th. And so we'll stick with the Chiefs as well. Kansas City Chiefs star Travis Kelce. Congratulations. I mean, you probably heard about this already, haven't you? Okay, can we stop? Oh, this cheering is really long. That was over 30 seconds of cheering. I didn't realise.
That's what the Swifties will do.
Getting married, of course, to Taylor Swift. So congratulations to them both. And, to be honest, maybe we'll leave this for another day. But we can have a whole discussion about the Taylor Swift universe in the NFL. Because, in my opinion, this is the Taylor Swift getting married to Travis Kelce is the best thing that's happened to the NFL in years. Let me rephrase that. It is, from the NFL's perspective, it's the best thing that's happened to the NFL in years. I genuinely believe that. Do you know what? We'll leave that for when my voice has a bit more oomph to it, when I can really get into it. Because at the moment, it feels like it's in a paddling pool, when I'd rather it be like in a, I don't know.
On the beach sipping sangria.
That's probably the better way to put it. Okay, so I thought, Dom, that we can have fun with this, right? Why your team can win the Super Bowl, the AFC edition. So on Monday, I'm going to go through, with Sky Sports' Cam Hogwood, we're going to go through the NFC edition, but this is the AFC edition. We're going to go through every single team in the AFC and basically say why that team can win the Super Bowl. We'll do it in under 2 minutes, and the reason I say under 2 minutes is because I've got some audio, and then I've realised it's like 1 minute 44 long. So that's how long we got.
Okay. Speed run.
I think we can do this. Dom, why don't you start with your Houston Texans? Wait, let's see if I can get this audio out, right? Oh, here we go.
Oh, I've started. Okay,
you started.
They can win the Super Bowl because of everything bar on the offensive line. They've got CJ Stroud, who has shown in his rookie year that he could be a top 7 quarterback in the NFL. They've got an improved wide receiver core. Yes, we lost Tank Dell, but we've still got Nico Collins, who, in my opinion, is in that elite tier of wide receiver with AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. And we added Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel in the draft. Those are 3 great wide receivers. And our defense is going to be elite. D'Amico Ryans is a defensive-minded head coach. He's assembled a very talented defense, which, even though it is talented, I think, is greater than the sum of its parts. Just every single part of that defense. Defensive line, linebackers, secondary cornerbacks plays at a really high level. We've got Will Anderson, we've got Derek Stingley, and I think Derek Stingley could be an outside shout for Defensive Player of the Year in the same way that Patrick Surtain won it as a lockdown cornerback on a great defense. It's tick, 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 just not the offensive line.
And you know what, we're starting in the AFC South, and I suppose that we have to probably bring up the fact that the Houston Texans have not had necessarily an easy, I'll say it, they've had an easy ride in the division, haven't they, over the last couple of years?
Definitely.
Especially after the first CJ Stroud season where it looked like he was about to, be the guy. And don't get me wrong, last season he was still a great quarterback, but you're kind of looking for him to push on. Are you looking to him to push on? Is that fair?
Yeah, 100% it's fair. We've got one great year, one disappointing relative to how great that first year was. And I think that with a new offensive coordinator, we're going to see the rookie version of CJ Stroud again.
Okay, all right. Houston Texans. I'll finish with this question. Where are they going to finish in the division?
First. Have I done it? See that? This is the game show. This is the game show, Jay, right here.
Yeah, Channel 5. Channel 5. Sort it out.
Oh,
That was a
okay, all right.
a
I've got a feel for the time now as well.
Yeah, well done. Well done. I'm going to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars next. Brand new head coach in Liam Cohen, who did wonders in his solo season in Tampa. He's gave the temperamental Baker Mayfield one of his best years yet. He now has to work with Trevor Lawrence, who I think it is fair to say has underperformed, but is extremely talented. Who else? Brian Thomas Jr., a man called Travis Hunter. In fact, De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, they just traded for Tim Patrick as well. They give Lawrence great options. And if the defense can actually learn to stop the run, then their pass options in Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, look, they're definitely above average, to say the least. Bashan Tootin, their new running back, has had rave reviews in preseason. He's going to start behind Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. But for how long? Is he going to be the new running back one within the first few weeks in the NFL? They've done some work in that O-line, and if they can shore that up, if they can give Trevor Lawrence time, then I have no doubt that these skilled players are going to be able to do their thing. They'll be able to find space, and suddenly we might find a completely different Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Jags are a great bounce-back contender, Dom.
Oh, bounce back. And what about Trevor Lawrence? Do you think he needs to push on?
Oh, there's no doubt that Trevor Lawrence knows he needs to push on. Whether it's due to coaching, whether it's due to injury, or whether it's just due to straight-up underperformance over the last few years, it has been, I'd say, disappointing. But he's not going to be stupid. He'll know that. But the problem is, in Jacksonville, the coaching has been an issue in various forms over the last few years. So, if, in theory, the offensive coaching is right this year, and Trevor Lawrence can indeed push on, they could have a great year.
Is that your microwave going?
Yeah.
Oh, is it a microwave? Is
Yeah,
that what it
actually,
is?
it's a microwave.
I can hear the tray opening. Brilliant.
Honestly, I need some water. I need some
Maybe you
water
just need
with
a
my
minute rather than a
branded
minute
Touchdown
45.
Trips mug.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. We'll move on to the Tennessee Titans. Dom, why can... Have fun with this. Why can they win the Super Bowl?
The Tennessee Titans can win the Super Bowl because of Cam Ward. Yes, it's early in his career. Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, a rookie has never won the Super Bowl. But he was rightly taken as QB1 in this draft because of the type of quarterback that he is. He is the type of quarterback who is in that top tier that can elevate the talent around him. His Miami offense, or basically every single player, including his Titans teammate Xavier Restrepo, have been cut with the cuts that came recently this week. So really it was Cam Ward kind of by himself. Of course he was helped out by other players, but it's not like he was playing with elite talent in college. So he is the type of quarterback that can make the offense around him better. He's the type of quarterback that can put the team on his back and win you a game. Yes, he is also the type of quarterback that might put you in a hole and has to dig himself out of it, but nevertheless, he has that ability, and that's the type of quarterback that you can win a Super Bowl with. And really, from going from Will Levis to Cam Ward is a massive upgrade, maybe one of the biggest of the offseason at the most impactful position in the game. I think they've improved the offensive line. I think the defense needs a bit of work, but generally speaking, it's year two of Brian Callahan's system, and he needs to push on. He's kind of in the hot seat, dare I say, after just 1 year, and I think that Cam Ward is the quarterback that, if you're looking at quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl, he fits that mold. So Cam Ward,
but
definitely...
I'm talking this year. You know, what,
that is the best chance this year.
It seems like, is it not fair to say that you're stretching it a bit by saying, oh, your rookie quarterback is why you can win the Super Bowl?
It's a stretch, but it's the Titans, so it's the best I got.
What's in the microwave?
Oh, I don't know. Something, a Lemsip for your throat, maybe.
Oh, I should have put a Lemsip in my branded Touchdown Trips mug. That was foolish on my behalf, wasn't it? Maybe I'll do that in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
1 minute 45 while I talk about the Patriots shortly.
We'll do one last one in the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts. a rare tight end who's already receiving great reviews, Tyler Warren, a running back in Jonathan Taylor who ran for nearly 1,500 yards last season, a new defensive coordinator who was in the Super Bowl just a few years ago, 2 new defensive backs who will drastically improve that backfield, Charvarius Ward and Cam Bynum, and an electric quarterback in Anthony Richardson, who'll be sat on the bench. In truth, there are a lot of reasons to get behind the Colts if they had a different quarterback. That said, and I do believe this actually, and I'll be interested to get your opinion on this. If Daniel Jones can be a league average quarterback, and I don't think that is necessarily out of the question, then the Colts are going to surprise some people.
I agree. I think Daniel Jones could have a Sam Darnold-esque, if you squint your eyes and stand really far back, type of resurgence. I trust Shane Steichen in the offensive system that he runs, and really all it relies on is Daniel Jones being able to hit a slant 5 yards down the field, and that's what he can do. Can he hit a deep ball? Not to save his life, but he can throw on time, he can be a good rushing threat, keep the defense honest. I really like his potential in this offense. Is he going to set the world on fire like Sam Darnold and get $100 million after this year? No, but I could see him getting like a 2-year bridge quarterback starting deal.
It's ironic, really, that they've got a quarterback on the bench that can hit those long throws, and he can't do the slants, or it's the other way around where you've got your starting quarterback in Daniel Jones.
Exactly.
And the thing is I think that the weapons that they put in fit what Daniel Jones could do.
Yeah, 100% they do. They get open in the short area of the field. The microwave, love it.
I'm just thinking now I really should have got that Lemsip. Anyway, we're going to move on to the AFC East next, after this. You're back on Tailgaters. We have already gone through the AFC South, why your team can win the Super Bowl. We move on next to the AFC East. Dom is going to start with the New England Patriots.
I'm so excited about this one. So, Patriots can win the Super Bowl because they are simply a team that is good enough to win. Drake May showed unbelievable potential last year in one of the worst situations I've ever seen a rookie quarterback play in. He had a coaching staff that couldn't lead a pack of ants to a picnic. He had an offensive line which resembled wet tissue paper, and he had offensive weapons which wouldn't get you arrested in an airport. And now all of those three things have changed. He's got a new coaching regime. He's got a new offensive line. He's got brand new offensive weapons. And I think the Patriots really are a dark horse playoff team in a obviously division with the Bills. So are they going to come first in the AFC in their division? I doubt it, but they could definitely come second and sneak into a very, very strong AFC playoff picture with the likes of the Texans, with the Chiefs, etc. And I think that that's because they're getting so much talented players back on the defense. They're getting Barmore back on the defensive line, Christian Gonzalez as one of the better young corners in the league. And I just think that the floor of this team has been raised so significantly by Mike Vrabel, who, sure, we can question his, is he an elite offensive mind? Of course not, he's a defensive-minded head coach, but he does bring such a high floor to his football teams. He had the Titans playing in an AFC Championship game in 2019, and that was a team that is far less talented than this current Patriots team is. So I really like their outlook. I genuinely think they're a Super Bowl contender. If it's a long shot for them, but it's possible.
And as well, you remember when David Moyes went to Man United and it didn't do great? You don't want to be the guy after the guy. You want to be the guy after the guy after the guy. That makes sense, doesn't it? And that's exactly what Mike Vrabel is, but he still has that connection to the Patriots. And Josh McDaniels there as well. So
Oh, is that yours or mine?
As long as they're bringing me a Lemsip, I'm not bothered really. I feel like it's mine. We'll stick in the AFC East, and I've got the opportunity to talk about the New York Jets. If the Jets just stop being the Jets for 2 seconds, they might realise that they could be a good team. New head coach Aaron Glenn is the type of guy who you'll run through a wall for. Is a bit like obviously Dan Campbell, where he came from the Detroit Lions. And plus, and this is really important, a little bit like Mike Vrabel as well, what you're talking about with the Patriots, he has that history with the Jets too, having played for them. This means something to him. This really means something to him. Justin Fields, new quarterback. I think he could absolutely surprise some people. Again, a little bit like Daniel Jones, like I was talking about a moment ago. If the offense can prove to have an average passing game, then they could have an extremely dangerous offense. Because as a runner, there is not many better there might actually be no better in the league. I know people talk about Lamar Jackson. I know people talk about, Jaden Daniels. Justin Fields is an incredible runner. if he can be an average passer in the league, we could be looking at a fun offense. They've locked down Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, they're like their two linchpins, which I think is important, if for no other reason, just so there's no storyline hanging over their head. And if they can somehow get out of the AFC East, which, as you said yourself, might be difficult with the Patriots, particularly the Buffalo Bills that we go into in a moment, they could be a rogue contender in the AFC if they can get out of their own way.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it, with the Jets? If they can get out of their own way, will the Jets stop being the Jets? I trust Aaron Glenn to be able to turn that around, and I think that Justin Fields, to talk about the Lamar thing, is a really good pure runner. Lamar's more of that kind of like scrambler. You don't want to let him get loose, but Justin Fields, they'll get him going, and when he gets going, you can't stop him. Keeps doing that.
Ugh. Tom, the Miami Dolphins.
The Miami Dolphins can win the Super Bowl if their new offensive identity works. They have historically, under Mike McDaniels' regime, they have been too reliant on speed. They've got, obviously, Devon A-Chain, they've got Tyreek Hill, they've got Jalen Waddle. That was what they were built on. And it took the league by storm when it first hit the scene. But I think the league has caught up. If you're not adapting in the NFL, you're dying. And I think that currently the Dolphins, because they're not adapting, are dying. They've got no change-up, no curveball. And the speed kind of shtick doesn't really work that well in January when it's cold and players are injured and tired and you need to kind of ground down the rock and ground the clock. And they've drafted Ollie Gordon, a big bruising running back in the draft. I think he's going to get significant touches on the goal line, which is where the Dolphins were not very good last year, where you need to have someone that's just big to punch the damn ball in. And they drafted Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle from Michigan. He's, as advertised in the preseason already, being that big disruptor on the interior of the defensive line, making them more stout against the run on defense. And I just think that this is what the Dolphins desperately need. It's kind of a last chance saloon, I think, for Mike McDaniels in Miami, despite being clearly a very good offensive mind. But unlike the best, like Sean McVay, like Kyle Shanahan, he's not shown that growth. So this year there's been a clear trend towards getting stronger and bigger and more physical. And if that works and the speed is still there, then the Dolphins could be a successful football team this year.
There seems to be some sort of strange aura around the Miami Dolphins at the moment. Do you think that's fair to say?
Definitely. They're in a bit of a no man's land. They're not good, but they're not bad.
Yeah. But they could win the Super Bowl.
Hey, look, anyone can. Everyone's 0-0.
Anyone
right
can. Hey, here's the one of the most pointless. In fact, there's a few pointless ones that we're going to be doing in the AFC. You know, why can your team win the Super Bowl? This is one of them, but we're going to do it anyway. The Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have been one of the best teams over the course of the last half decade. Actually, probably a little bit more, actually. From a couple of years into Josh Allen's career as quarterback. If this iteration of the team never makes the Super Bowl, it will be nearly as bad as that time they made 4 in a row and lost all 4. Does that sound like hyperbole? Maybe a little bit, but it shouldn't be, because this team are arguably the best team in the NFL. This team have arguably been the best team in the NFL for the last few years. Josh Allen is the reigning MVP. They have the weapons, and this is the important thing, and this is actually, when you think about it, this maybe should be the reason that they should win the Super Bowl more than any other. It's the last season in Highmark, their last season in their stadium. Bills, do it for the narrative. Just do it for the narrative. Can you imagine ending your season, the AFC title game, last game ever at Highmark Stadium, you win, and then you go to the Super Bowl. I mean, do it for the story. Do it for the story, Bills.
I think the local Bills hospitals are probably begging that to not happen, considering what their fans are like when they're just having a regular season game against the Jets, you know. But I would love that as well. The Bills are some of the best fans in the NFL. I love their passion. I love that they so closely resemble kind of the fandoms that we have here in the UK with football, with soccer. And I think that to finish off like a legendary kind of moment in their fan base history and in their entire team's history, and at an iconic stadium, an iconic way, be beautiful. Okay. Hello?
Ding dong. Okay, we'll move on to the AFC North now. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Dominic Corbett.
The Pittsburgh Steelers can win the Super Bowl because of their elite defense. Now, TJ Watt, isn't elite anymore. I'm not going to get into that in my 1 minute 45 because it would take my whole 1 minute 45, but I say that with my chest. But the defense as a whole is still elite, 100%. You have Alex Highsmith, who is fantastic opposite TJ Watt, who is still very good, though not elite. You have Derek Harmon, the new rookie, who has been injured, is considered week to week, but I hope he will make an appearance this season. He's a very good interior pass rusher. And you've got Cameron Hayward, who, yes, is no spring chicken anymore at like 34 years old, but he had 10 sacks last year. He's still got it in him. They've got Peyton Wilson as a linebacker. He's poised for a breakout season, I think. They've added Jalen Ramsey to play in the slot opposite now Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr. That is a really damn good defense. And defense, as the saying goes, wins you championships. Now, all it needs is Aaron Rodgers to capitalize on that. I think your defense can carry you so far, and ultimately if you make it to the playoffs, hell, look, it could even win you a few games by its own right, but you do need the offense in the modern NFL to uphold their side of the bargain and score enough points so that the defense isn't always playing from behind. So the defense is why they can win. We'll see how the offense can do.
I think it's funny that we're in a situation compared to like two years ago where we are questioning whether Aaron Rodgers can do it. And, you know, partially, actually, we're not even questioning his talent on the field, really. I mean, that's part of it. But it's part of whether or not he can, whatever the offensive coordinator and, oh,
there's your Lemsip. It's getting ready.
I thought that sound would be more annoying. I was slightly concerned about playing that. It wasn't as annoying as I thought, actually. Also, my kettle doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, what is
Why
it?
is that
Like
the standard
1970s?
kettle noise? Like, I don't understand.
Can't up your budget. Electric ones are a click these days.
Exactly. Cincinnati Bengals. Can the Bengals fix their defense? Well, look, I'm going to use a Dom Corbettism because it's not got off to a great start as Trey Hendrickson hasn't spent one snap marinating with the rest of the team with no improvement to his deal. Now, he's back in the fold now, but sometimes you need to let your chicken marinate for a long time and not just 5 minutes. Otherwise, the flavor's not going to be there as much. Lou Anarumo is gone, and if indeed he was the reason why the defense was as bad as, the Bengals must obviously think, then the Bengals will be unstoppable. I say that with a hint of sarcasm. With a tough defense, in theory, and an already potent offense, what is stopping them? Well, probably the defense. But at least they could yet again go down as one of the most fun and one of the most frustrating teams to watch in the NFL. Now, the good news, Lombardi Trophy-wise, is that they've for sure got one side of the ball right. It is now just whether or not they have got the other side of the ball. Cincinnati Bengals are a team like last year, like the year before, probably like the year before that as well, that you could see in the Super Bowl, but you could also see bottom of the AFC North. And that's what makes them so fun. But as I say, what makes them so frustrating as well, Dom.
The other teams in the playoffs, in the AFC picture, are going to not want the Bengals to be in it, which I think says a lot. I think the regular season Bengals are very different to the postseason Bengals and their outlook. I think the Bengals can string together 4 wins, which is all they need to do to win the Super Bowl if you make the playoffs. So they're a dangerous postseason team, not a dangerous regular season team.
Need that Lemsip. Need that Lemsip. Have fun with this one, Dom. Cleveland Browns, why can they win the Super Bowl?
So, funnily enough, I actually don't have any notes to the Cleveland Browns, but I would have said the same thing, which is it's going to be pretty tough for the Cleveland Browns to win the Super Bowl. If I'm being as positive as I possibly could be, the reason why they could win the Super Bowl for the Browns is because Joe Flacco can turn back the clock and basically play like he did when he won the Ravens a Super Bowl in, 2013, something like that, maybe well over a decade ago. Kevin Stefanski is an offensive-minded head coach who has shown that he can be good. He's won Coach of the Year twice. Coincidentally, it's every single year that the Browns have had a winning record. So the Browns have shown that they have a level of high variance to their team. They've got Myles Garrett as, in my opinion, the best player in the NFL, pound for pound, regardless of position, maybe up there with Patrick Mahomes. But he's absolutely elite. The defense is looking really good. They've drafted Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker, who can fill that linebacker hole that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah has left. It really is just, can the offense put together a semi-competent enough performance, either with Flacco or with Dylan Gabriel or with Shadur Sanders? They also signed a 4th one, so maybe with him, who knows, that can just put the defense in a good enough position to help them win a game or two. But I think a Super Bowl for the Browns is very, very rich.
You know what the narrative wants, though? The narrative wants Shedeur Sanders to get the gig a few games in or halfway through the season is absolutely mind-blowing, gives them a huge winning record, winning streak even, and then they manage to get to the Super Bowl. That is what the NFL, that's what the people that are writing the story of the NFL, that's what they want, the script writers, yeah.
If Shedeur wins a Super Bowl with the Browns, I'm going to have to go into witness protection because I've been very vocal about Shedeur Sanders' shortcomings. And Shedeur Sanders seems to have the most avid group of supporters that I've ever come across in my entire life. Like the fact that people are genuinely suggesting there's a league-wide conspiracy to not give Shedeur Sanders a fair shot is bonkers.
Well, is there a league-wide conspiracy for why the Baltimore Ravens have yet to win a Super Bowl? Could this be the year? Good news for the Lamar lovers. Going over that playoff hump, I think we're comfortable with that now. It's followed him around, but bad news is it's soon going to become a Super Bowl hump. Why has this man, a man who has, won 2 MVPs, could have easily won his 3rd MVP, by the way, last season as well. Why has he not yet got to the Super Bowl with the Ravens? He was close. He has been close several years. Derrick Henry was as described last year. John Harbaugh continues to be a great coach over in Maryland, and perhaps most importantly, bookies make them favourites to win. But I was actually a little bit surprised about, to be honest with you. Why can the Baltimore Ravens win the Super Bowl compared to all the other teams that we're speaking about? This whole league and the whole of the AFC, it'd be harder to find why they can't win the Super Bowl. The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills have very similar narratives, and surely one of them is going to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, we're going to get to another team that is standing in their way in a moment, but surely one of them has to get to the Super Bowl. The Baltimore Ravens, Dom, it's Super Bowl or bust. It really is Super Bowl or bust.
100%. When you've got a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, you built a team in his vision and that plays to his strengths and the development that he's taken as a passer. He's one of the top 3, maybe even top 2 quarterbacks in the league. And really, both Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson kind of need someone else to take off the team, just knock the Chiefs out in the playoffs. Like maybe a Broncos matchup or something. Just someone needs to kind of dive on that grenade so it's not on Allen or Lamar.
Well, speaking of, should we go over to the AFC West now? Should we go into the Denver Broncos, Dom?
Absolutely. The Denver Broncos can win the Super Bowl because they have an elite defense and because Sean Payton is the captain of the offense. The defense was already one of the best in the league last year, if not the best, and they added Tanaloa Hufanga as a safety, they added Dre Greenlaw at linebacker, and they added Jahdae Barron as a slot cornerback in the draft. Many people's cornerback 1 in that draft class. You really, against the Broncos defense, need to be 3 deep at wide receiver if you want to separate at all against them. They are that good. They've got Patrick Surtain, who'll put the clamps on your wide receiver 1. They've got Barron, who's going to be there in the slot against your bigger slot, someone like a T. Higgins maybe. You need to have someone that can be the wide receiver 3, and not many teams have a very good wide receiver 3, at least not as good as the Broncos defense are at that position. Sean Payton's offense is what keeps it going on the other side of the ball. Bo Nix did a fantastic job as a rookie managing a notoriously difficult offensive system. Like, it took Breeze years to get there, let alone someone like Bo Nix, who, I think we can safely say right at this point it's not quite Drew Brees just yet. But it's a very challenging system. He did very well in it, and he's got a really good offensive line protecting him. I think the rest of the offensive weapons leave a little bit to be desired, but that's the thing, is the offensive system is king there in Denver. And I think, in my opinion, they are definite Super Bowl contenders.
I mean, we're going to speak about this probably with the other teams as well, but the one thing I think is standing in their way is the division that they're in. I mean, I'm going to mention this when it comes to one of the other teams as well, but if they were in any other division, or in lots of other divisions, they'd be walking it. They would be walking it, or you'd be assuming that they'd be walking it anyway.
I want me some glory hole.
Oh. Is it past the watershed?
Jerry Jones doesn't care. He doesn't care. He does not care.
Oh, is that Jerry Jones?
Yeah, I'm not just bringing him out. I'm not just bringing him out.
Jerry.
Kansas City Chiefs. I feel bad, actually, to be honest, Dom, because I've had to speak about the Bills, the Ravens, and now the Chiefs as well. I promise you, I randomised it all. Not only 3 of the best teams in the AFC, but probably the 3 best teams in the whole of the NFL. Travis Kelce, as I mentioned earlier, he's going to have a ring on his finger very soon to add to his multiple other rings. He's feeling supercharged. Apparently, he's also slimmed down. If he can have a little bit more speed, he wasn't the fastest in the world last year. I think that's fair to say. He could continue being a great option. I genuinely believe that because he's been that comfort blanket for Patrick Mahomes for years now. If he can continue being that, Rashee Rice returns after 6 games, and he'll be here for the majority of the season. Worthy flashed last year. Chris Jones is Chris Jones, but really, it is more of the same. And it's more of the same because of 2 people. It's because of Andy Reid and it's because of Patrick Mahomes as well. The most impressive thing from them last year was they did the Man United. They didn't need to play well to win, or at least not fantastically. Anyway, they got found out at the end. That's a problem. They know that. But you'd be a fool to bet against them. And let's all remember this. You'd be a fool to bet against them getting to their 6th Super Bowl since 2020. I'm sorry? I think that sometimes we forget. We know how good they are, but I'm sorry. Their 6th Super Bowl since 2020. Actually, I take away what I said about the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills. It's the Chiefs to lose because they've shown it. It's you might say it's boring, but they've shown it.
With the Chiefs and with
glory
Mahomes. Sorry, Jerry. I didn't mean to talk over you. Sorry, Jerry. Next time. With the Chiefs and Mahomes, like Mahomes specifically, he's just transcended to a different plane. Really, like when your success is not measured by wins or losses, it's simply measured by have you won the big one. It's pretty wild, and I think the only quarterback that's ever done that in history is Tom Brady, and we all collectively acknowledge that is the case because we all just forget about the Chiefs. We don't talk about them ever because they're so boringly successful and so boringly elite that we don't want to give them the time of day, but we have to because they are simply that good.
We've nearly gone through the whole of the AFC, giving reasons why your team can win the Super Bowl. We've got 2 more. The Las Vegas Raiders, Dom.
The Raiders, I love the Raiders' chances this year, despite them being in a very strong division. They can win the Super Bowl because of Geno Smith and Ashton Genty. I think those 2 players at their respective positions were the 2 biggest player upgrades of this offseason. I think that Geno Smith is a top 10 quarterback. You can hold me to that. I'm saying it live on air. I think he's a top 10 quarterback, and he's got arrogant arm talent. I think he's got great pocket movement. He was somehow painted as the villain in Seattle by Seahawks fans, which I find absolutely bonkers. The offensive line was selling him play in, play out, and he was still able to make fantastic plays and keep the Seahawks competitive. Ashton Genty is an elite running back prospect who is going to the worst run game in the NFL last year. And usually I would put the blame of that on the offensive line. The offensive line is actually very good. They were simply not a good run game because the running backs weren't very good. Ashton Genty, the best running back in the draft with a bullet. His yards after contact would have been the 2nd most total rush yards in college football behind only Ashton Genty himself. He is that damn good. He is a single man wrecking crew at the running back position behind a good offensive line in a new offensive system with Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator and Pete Carroll as the head coach. And those 2 want to run the damn ball. Well, apart from that one time in Seattle, but we don't need to talk about that right now.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that right now. I think that those 2 are going to cook. The offense is going to look really good with Brock Bowers. I think they're a sneaky dark horse playoff team.
I really rate Pete Carroll. I know he's there. Let's be honest, he's there to be the bridge coach, I think, for a couple of years. But he's going to make them relevant. And I think that's the most important thing. Oh. Do you know what? If Jerry knew that we were talking over him,
he'd pull the plug on this thing.
Oh my, he wouldn't. He wouldn't stop going on about it. But
we're going to be hearing from his lawyers.
We would. Still might. One more to go. The Los Angeles Chargers. Jim Harbaugh woke up the other night and said to himself, this is genuine, I need to get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame, which was a bit weird, to be honest, because, was he dreaming about Justin Herbert? Is Harbaugh the Jesus of gold jackets? But the sentiment can prove to be helpful in analysing where the team are at, because Herbert is perfect for Harbaugh. Relatively few mistakes. Big arm helps them lean on the run game. And what does he want to do? Well, he wants to lean on the run game. They're going to be doing that a lot. I liked the addition of Najee Harris. If it wasn't for that firework accident, which has damaged his eye, and who knows when he's going to be back. As a side note, whether you're in the NFL or whether you're not in the NFL, what are we doing with fireworks? Can we just stop? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Anyway, there's an opportunity for this team to shock NFL fans around the world. And a bit like, I was speaking about Denver Broncos as well. If there are a lot of other divisions, they not only would be a lock to win that division, but they'd also get spoken about a lot more too. I think Harbaugh's come into the NFL last season at a really perfect time when the run game seems to be key, and it's what he's been doing for a long, long time. And it could be that his team could shock the NFL. As I say, though, they are in a tough division, and if the Raiders, as you mentioned before, if they prove to be a good team, we could be looking at 4 good teams, 4 very good. We could have the NFC North of 2024 in the AFC West.
Definitely. I mean, Harbaugh is just like me. I dream of Justin Herbert. He is kooky. I love him. Wait for Jerry.
I want me some glory hole.
I am the biggest Justin Herbert truther out there, man. I love him. I want him to get a gold jacket. I need to prove my side of the argument is right as ever. And I just think he's such a talented quarterback. And I think that the Chargers are a very talented team. Just, after the hangover of who was their head coach that was the defensive
Brandon
coordinator?
Staley.
Brandon Staley.
Currently
I've
with the
had to
Saints.
erase him from my mind.
Yes.
Brandon Staley era. It's a new era with Harbaugh.
Well, look, I think we should feel, proud of ourselves, really. We just went through the whole of the AFC. Look at us.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Why your team can win the Super Bowl. Obviously, on Monday, we're going to be going through the NFC, myself and Cam Hogwood from Sky Sports. Next, it's all about the mailbag, and it's all about Mr. Corbett getting his teacher on.
Feels like I'm back at school already.
And we're back on Tailgaters. I'm Jay Lawrence. This is Dom Corbett, also known as Mr. Corbett.
Morning bell rings, school day begins. Books and pens, friends and grins. In the halls we laugh and play. Learning games every single day.
If you don't know, Dom Corbett, an actual teacher. And this time we're going to do the mailbag. So he gets to do his teacher display.
This is me singing, actually.
Let's be honest, it's probably AI.
I need this in my classroom. The country number.
Okay, that's that. If you would like to get involved in the mailbag, we're going to do this every single week. Get on over to the show notes. There's a link there where you can just go into the Discord. Join the Discord while you're there. And you'll find a Tailgaters category. You'll find a channel as well just for the mailbag. So let's go to the listener, also called Jay. Great name. Who did the mailbag link in the show notes. Dom, how do you feel about Adam Thielen's return to the Vikings?
Oh, I love it. I think it's great. With Jordan Addison's suspension, I think it's at least 4 games. They kind of...
Hockey teachers, stay hooray. Hockey teachers, stay hooray.
Sorry, carry on.
Bring back the Jerry Jones one, I think. With
Just snorted.
Addison suspension, they're kind of looking for that veteran receiver, and they thrive in Minnesota on being that kind of 3-deep receiving attack with TJ Hawkinson, obviously Justin Jefferson. And when you've got a quarterback like JJ McCarthy, who's obviously essentially a rookie this year, you want to remove any sort of question of doubt from his mind. Is he going to make it if he's thrown to... Is he going to make it if he's thrown to Jalen Naylor? I'm not so sure. Adam Thielen's reliable. I like it.
Al Jobs on Discord. This is a really good, actually, question that I'd like you to answer, please. Where/who's the best place to start really understanding defensive formations and strategies? Played Madden for 10 years and can just about describe the difference between zone and man. This is a really good question. There'll be a bunch of places that you can go to, but I can understand that actually it is, you need to go out and seek it, really. I can understand how it might be tough to just watch the game and try and understand everything in real time.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you 3 places. Firstly, my TikTok shout out, Dom Corb's NFL. I do some nice little breakdowns. Also, on TikTok, like Theo Ash is really good as well. He breaks some stuff down. And on YouTube, Brett Coleman, he's brilliant. So all of those 3, there's a little bit of a steep learning curve, I'd say. But once you've seen a few videos and kind of understand, like man and zone blocking schemes and things like that, it all starts building. And even me, I'm still learning all the time. So just keep looking for it, keep searching it, and it will come.
I think that, one of the things that somebody said on Discord, or 2 things that said on Discord were, somebody brought up cornerbacks and how you can tell how good they are. And, one of the things that I mentioned was that cornerback is a really good example because if there are no targets to the wide receiver, well, the cornerback's done a great job, but you might not necessarily think that. Do you know what I mean? Like you can have no pass breakups, but if the quarterback has stopped throwing to his wide receiver one because the cornerback coverage is so good, well, it might not show up on stats, or you might not necessarily think about it. But that cornerback has done an excellent job. The other thing, JDog79 on Discord says, I wouldn't stress, mate. Daniel Jones is still trying to figure out the same thing.
That's a great one. I like that one a lot. That's a good one from you there.
Sean, who did the on the mailbag link in the bio, which NFL team has the best fan base in your opinion? It's a tough question, and actually, you're going to annoy every fan base. 31 fan base is going to be annoyed.
The two that spring out to me are the Bills and the Packers. I think when you are willing to sit in the temperatures that they're willing to sit in, to the extent where Bills fans last year were getting like multiple admissions to hospital because of frostbitten toes and limbs, and when they jump through tables with fire on them and stuff. I think that those two for me stick out the most. I would love to see a Bills game. I would love to see a Packers game for that reason, for the fandom.
As a newbie, this is PT on Discord. As a newbie, it's easy to spot when a quarterback or wide receiver or other attacking players are playing well. In fact, I might have just mentioned this. It's not always easy for those not super familiar with the game to spot those players that are playing really well in defense, other than when focusing on sacks. It'd be interesting to hear what things we can be looking out for when watching our team's defense. What defensive stats do you pay the most attention to? And what do you look for to spot these defensive players that are difference makers? So it's kind of what I just said actually about the cornerbacks, to be honest with you. Have you got anything else to bring up?
Yeah, I would say pressures are a really great stat to be looking at instead of sacks, because sometimes if a quarterback throws the ball in 2 seconds, no one's going to be able to sack him. But the defensive lineman might still have almost got there, might have made the quarterback throw it faster, might have pushed the offensive lineman in the way of the passing lane. Pressures are less extreme than sacks. You can, you're only getting like 10 sacks a season, but you can get like 120 pressures, like Micah Parsons has. So I think that's a more accurate stat. So I look at pressures, and also like it's hard. Your cornerbacks and your safeties aren't on the screen when the quarterback's even throwing the ball. That's why like all 22 is great to watch, but it's very dense, all 22. So just watch people break down all 22 and you'll see it.
What I really would love to happen, and I think you can get this in the US, but I really want to this to be in the UK, is to be able to click the player and then be able to watch every snap the player is involved in. So it means that, like, let's say that you want to just go and have a deep dive on, I don't know, let's just say Jalen Ramsey. Is Jalen Ramsey having a good season? Let's watch every single snap of his. So it means obviously when he gets taken out, you're not watching that. Does that make sense?
You can do that in the States. They have that. They just don't have it here.
Yeah, you can't do it over in the UK, and
it's next gen stats. You can literally do preseason week 3. Anthony Richardson, watch all of his dropbacks.
It's just how much easier is that? Like, it's something I'll have to look into to see if there's any way that we can get it in the UK at all. Because, I've often thought I just really want to see how this player or that player is doing. And you're like, well, actually, all 22 for every single game. And of course, sometimes you can't necessarily tell whether or not X person or Y person is even on the field in the first place. It's really quite difficult. Especially when it comes to players like that might not play every snap. So like a running back or somebody like that, Anyway, last one. Should the old kickoff return? Additionally, have the new punting rules killed the onside kick? So the 2025, the league's amended the new kickoff procedures by moving the ball out to the 35-yard line after a touchback. It was the 25-yard line last year, which is intended to discourage kicking teams from simply kicking the ball out of the end zone for an automatic touchback by giving the receiving team an even greater touchback advantage. I'm for that. My problem with the kickoff at the moment is it's quite convoluted, and you're trying to make the game simple. It's actually a little bit convoluted. I understand it from a safety perspective, and I'm not ruling out my approval of how it is, and I'm certainly going to give it a go. But there's a lot of rules that come with it, and especially from a UK perspective, you are then having to try and explain it to everybody. It's not the easiest. What do you think, Dom?
No, it isn't the easiest, but I think it has made an otherwise obsolete play relevant again, really. And like we've seen that the stats,
but not as much as it should. I don't think it was as much as it should. I was pretty positive about it last year. Yeah, exactly. I was positive about it last year, but in reality, you didn't see as many people running out as you were expecting.
Yeah, because the thing is, these teams have such massive data analyst factions, right? Like it's such an analytical game. After the first 6 weeks, there was enough data where teams could kind of realize, oh, this is actually just the most kind of like beneficial quote unquote play in the long run, which is just about we kneel it out, we take it from whatever line they do it from. But now they've moved it forward again. That should then switch it again to try and make teams kind of force out the kick return. So yeah, I think I'm for it. The thing I'm not for though is the onside kick announcement. I think that has kind of diluted that section of the game, which was the most interesting part in the fourth quarter. You could feasibly,
So dumb.
exactly, you could feasibly get an onside kick recovery, and you can't really do that with the new rules. So that needs to be addressed.
You need to look at the beginning of the second half of the Super Bowl 2010, New Orleans Saints surprise the Indianapolis Colts with a onside kick that would have never have happened. An onside kick recovery as well that would never have happened in these new rules. And I think you are right. You are right. All right. Well, that's the mailbag. That's the mailbag for today's episode.
Thank you, teachers, we love you.
And we'll be doing another one next week. Get your questions in. Dom. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you very much
thank
for
you.
joining me.
No, thank you.
You'll be back next Thursday
I will.
for the live stream. And then on Friday, of course, it will be the podcast will be in the eardrums. And of course, actually then is the first episode that we're going to be looking towards the first week of NFL action. So we'll come around quick. My voice will hopefully have come back by then. We'll have to see.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I'll be back on Monday. Why your team can win the Super Bowl NFC Edition with Sky Sports. Cam Hogwood. This is Tailgaters, presented by Touchdown Trips. See you in a few days.